Man, 2022 has been so full of drama, it will make you forget, wow, that's right, these people that we're watching fight in real life are supposed to be fighting in a ring. But both in and outside of the square circle, 2022 has definitely been a chaotic and dramatic year. But which in-ring competitors did not only make news headlines for what they did outside of the ring, but for what they did inside of it as well? This is Extreme League Wrestling, and here are our top 10 wrestlers of 2022. Number 10, The Acclaimed. Because everybody loves The Acclaimed. Well, almost everyone at least. Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Mr. Daddy Ass himself have had a year that has been a lightning in a bottle moment very few wrestlers see in their entire career. Winning the belts at Grand Slam was truly the right place and the right time to pull the trigger on the duo. Within the next year, we're gonna really see the staying power of the, scissoring. But in my opinion, this has a large amount of staying power, much like a yes chant or a what chant. And don't worry, the boys aren't just a catchphrase and a t-shirt. Both Bowens and Caster have tremendously improved in the ring and on the mic. I mean, come on, the two literally brought back Captain Insano. Overall, 2022 has been an amazing year for The Acclaimed, and why shouldn't it be? Because everybody loves The Acclaimed! Number 9, Bryan Danielson. Look, it's not that complicated why the American Dragon is at this point in our list, because he has had fantastic matches, driven by fantastic story, that is also driven by fantastic matches. While floundering more towards the back end of 2022, the Blackpool Combat Club has easily been one of the best factions of this year. I mean, come on, Wheeler Yuta, Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, Daniel Mother Truckin' Garcia. These are just a handful of matches to just prove to the fact that Bryan Danielson is truly one of the best to ever freaking do it. And while Bryan Danielson has not won gold yet in AEW, he is such a special attraction. He feels like such a big match guy to where he doesn't really need it. But also, I would really love an AEW title run, just saying. Number 8, Will Ospreay. Can we just look at this match graphic for a second? God, I love wrestling. 2022 was indeed a very special year for Billy the Goat, because he is one match away from tying the record for the most Dave Meltzer 5-star matches in a wrestling career, a record currently held by Japanese wrestling legend Michihara Misawa, who has an extremely impressive 25 to Will Ospreay's 24. And look, even if you're not a Dave Meltzer star rating kind of a guy, the United Empire and Will Ospreay have gone on a tear in 2022. No matter the company, no matter the continent, no matter the country, Billy the Goat, Will Ospreay himself, is consistently the best professional wrestler working today in that ring. And if you don't believe me, watch any of his 5-star matches from this year. Or better yet, watch his match with Orange Cassidy from Forbidden Door, one of the best matches I've ever seen in person. Which is a very natural transition into our number 7 wrestler of the year, Orange Cassidy. In 2020, it is hard to deny that the gimmick of Orange Cassidy was the biggest thing in AEW. Now, we are seeing what the wrestler Orange Cassidy can do in the ring, and it's just as good as his gimmick. Much like Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy can work with anyone from any company from any country. But the drastic amount of staying power that Cassidy has shown that his gimmick can have, for my money, puts him one spot above Ospreay in our 2022 rankings. And his Atlantic title win over PAC shows that Orange Cassidy is truly one of the real pillars of AEW. Sorry, boys. Orange Cassidy defending the belt almost every week on AEW television gives the belt some level of importance. It's not an open challenge a la Cody Rhodes, but it is still an active belt that is constantly being presented to us on television that we didn't really get to see with PAC. By the way, not that that's the bastard's problem at all, because frankly, AEW has had a, let's say, interesting year, but for these reasons and so many more, Orange Cassidy easily makes our list, or whatever. Number 6, Sami Zayn. Hey everyone, I have a little secret to tell you. Would you believe that before War Games this year, I only had Sami Zayn in my honorable mentions category? And if I would have kept it like that, I would have been thrown in professional wrestling fan jail, and the key would have been rightfully thrown away. Look, even before all the Bloodline stuff, Sami Zayn probably had one of the best Celebrity Mania matches of all time. And trust me, we're gonna get into the Bloodline later in the list, but the stuff Sami has been able to do this year has been nothing short but phenomenal. I think the wise man Paul Heyman said it best, to where Sami Zayn showed up on a guest spot for a TV show and got himself himself a part of the main cast, and that is just something admirable to see from a performer. But I can't say I'm really surprised when that performer is probably one of the best professional wrestlers working today. Number 5, FTR. I don't believe it's hyperbole to say that FTR have literally had the most amazing year of their career, putting on classics like the ROH tag title fight with the Briscoes, the Forbidden Door triple threat where they picked up the IWGP tag titles. Hell, at one point they even said screw it and just wrestled each other. From fighting like an 8-year-old girl to both men showing that they have staying power not only as a tag team, but as single stars. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler have had a banner year in 2022, having that classic territorial tag team run that I'm sure both men can be proud of looking back for years to come. Number 4, Cody Rhodes. Eventually within the competition of AEW versus WWE, you knew at some point there was going to be a major defection from the indie startup to the major wrestling company. You just never think it's going to be a whole vice president with a whole neck tattoo. But jokes aside, this was a crossroads year for the son of the American dream. I said I was done joking, I didn't say I was done with puns. Leaving AEW on a banger of a ladder match for the TNT title, Cody soon left AEW in his rearview mirror, and long gone became the frustrations of the AEW crowd wishing for him to turn heel. Being able to leave one major wrestling promotion to then become the top babyface in another is an accomplishment that gives me whiplash just thinking about it. And on top of all of this, wrestling a match of the year contender with a completely torn pec. So pardon me as I open up another web browser just to see if I can get tickets to the Royal Rumble in San Antonio this year. It's only an 8-hour drive. And number 3, MJF. When Maxwell Jacob Freeman and CM Punk faced off at AEW Revolution 2022, people would not have believed the foreshadowing that this feud would have in the months to come for AEW. MJF gets our third spot not only because of the stories he was able to tell within the ring, but the change that we've seen in AEW outside of it because of his direct actions. Him threatening to show up to Double or Nothing for Wardlow's big moment was, yes, not the best move in my opinion. That entire situation, plus the pipe bomb promo he dropped on the following Wednesday's Dynamite, was scarily enough a really good intro to the difficult summer AEW was about to have. And like the stinker of a heel he is, he came back and we all went, "You son of a bitch, you were right about everything." It had been often a concern and a criticism of All Elite Wrestling that the AEW originals were now being pushed to the side for a lot of the bigger names coming into the company. And while yes, if you can sign bigger names, please sign those bigger names, a la Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Bryan Danielson, at the end of the day you still need a foundation for your company to build upon those big stars to then make more stars out of that. And not only to make more stars, but to keep the stars that you are building not only A, happy, but B, making main eventer money when they're working with main eventers. AEW is better with MJF in it. AEW is more exciting with MJF in it. AEW is more interesting with MJF in it. But you don't have to take it from me, because he's the AEW World Champion now, and he's better than you, and you know it. Number 2, Roman Reigns. Okay, look. I understand if you're mad that Roman is just number 2 on the list. Mind you, in a in-ring standpoint, I think both my number 1 pick and Roman Reigns are kind of interchangeable, but it's just down to my own personal preference because it's, well, my list. I don't think I have to go into too much detail here on why Roman is this high on my 2022 top wrestlers list, but come on, over 800 days as champion. The Bloodline is probably the best story going on right now in professional wrestling. His hug to Sami Zayn nearly brought me to goddamn tears. This man took a bump from a bulldozer. Look, I'm never one to say just turn a wrestler heel whenever the crowd isn't necessarily connecting with them, but in Roman's case, yeah, it worked. The Bloodline is also one of those unique stables that elevates everyone besides the head of the table. Jimmy and Jay have been elevated, Sammy has come out of nowhere and been elevated, and Solo Sikoa has jumped straight to the main roster, and I think is probably going to be one of the biggest stars to come out of the Bloodline once it dissolves. So let me take this time to acknowledge our tribal chief and come to the conclusion that probably 2023 is going to be just as important of a year for Roman as 2022. Now, before I get to my number 1 pick for my favorite wrestler of 2022, here are my honorable mentions. Tomohiro Ishii and Eddie Kingston, I want to watch these two men fight forever. The Ocho himself, Chris Jericho, seriously, can this man have a bad match? Rhea Ripley, because I also have to acknowledge Mommy. Seth Rollins, just because of the drip alone. Britt Baker for basically carrying the entire women's division on her back, along with Jade Cargill. Based off their feud alone, Walter and Sheamus both deserve to be in my honorable mentions category. Jamie Hayter for her amazing breakout year and for becoming the AEW Women's Champion. And finally, Bray Wyatt. The reason why Bray is in my honorable mentions is simply because he has not wrestled a match in 2022, but man, there takes a lot of talent to have so many people talk about you when you haven't even been in a ring in almost 2 years. And finally, Extreme League Wrestling's top wrestler of 2022 is Jon Moxley. It would take multiple videos for me to fully go into detail on why this is Jon Moxley's year. The formation of the Blackpool Combat Club, winning the AEW Interim World Championship, his multiple classic bouts with Danielson, Yuta, MJF, Takeshita, Garcia, the list keeps going and going. When Jon Moxley returned to our screens after battling some inner demons, I don't even think he would be able to predict the amazing year that he has had so far. When the interim belt was placed on Moxley, a lot of people saw it as a safe choice for the time being until CM Punk returned from injury, but little did we all know, he was the champion that the company needed for 2022. Through all the chaos, Jon Moxley, while many saw him as a safe choice, was honestly the best choice. Without Moxley, I hearken to say that through all the chaos of 2022 that AEW has been through, I don't think AEW would be in nearly as positive of a position as it is right now with MJF as champion if Moxley did not rise up and become the ace of AEW. This was even shown with TK putting his money where his mouth is and signing a 5-year-long in-ring performer and coaching deal with Moxley. No matter if Moxley is cutting a promo in the ring or wrestling one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in person with Hiroshi Tanahashi, Jon Moxley is the easiest choice for our top wrestler of 2022. And who knows, if you hit that like and subscribe button and turn on your notifications, you might just hear us go into more detail about it in another video. Thank you guys so much for watching Extreme League Wrestling, and those are our top 10 wrestlers of 2022. Who was your favorite wrestler this year? Let us know down in the comments. Until next time, this has been Extreme League Wrestling, and we'll catch you next time.